The rhythm calls. Stand up tall, we break the walls. Train it up, train it high. Next gen reaching for the sky. Push the limit, don't ask why. This is how we're born to fly.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Next Gen Training here on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, the coach, Coach Ferg, in the building. As always, good to see you guys here on this Thursday evening. And, so much going on, certainly in the world. And we like to give you a place where we give you positive, we give you instruction, we give you just how to have a better life. And I think certainly in these times, we could certainly use it, certainly in these times. But certainly I want to welcome my co-host as always. Just make sure when you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in tonight. Certainly helps the algorithm. We're almost close to monetization. And so certainly, we're looking to set that up. So, please consider becoming a subscriber to the Sparta HQ Network. And so we appreciate your support. But I want to check in with the coach and see how things are going with you, sir. How are your pies, your physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual health? How are your pies? For those who are chiming in tonight, what's going on with you? Please feel free to share in the chat what's going on in those areas of your life. So, Coach, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, what's up, brother Bennett, man? Do I sound okay?
You sound great.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do pies a little different. I ain't gonna go in order, but because
Okay.
I can't hold it in. I'm gonna start out with my emotional, man. I'm excited emotionally. Two things. My wife got some tests ran last week, and she got the results back, and everything was looking positive. Everything was looking real good. Blood pressure has dropped tremendously. She's been consistent in her workouts, and she's up to running. I think she clocked in 4 miles today, so I'm excited for her on that regards. Again, I've been trying to find me a coaching position for the past month. I don't know if I got the job that I interviewed for a couple of weeks ago. However, there was another position from a school that I applied for last year. Hopefully, and that just closes today.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I'll get a call some between tomorrow and Monday, maybe come in, do an interview. But I also had another interview today that went fairly well. So I'm excited about that. Then I met with a veterans representative, and he gave me some positive information that can really help me. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. Things in my life are pretty much going well. On both sides, you know what I'm saying? Me and my wife are okay. My dog she's older, and she just got out of she had to go to the vet, and she's gotten, old dog bones, but she's pretty healthy
How
though.
old's your dog?
She'll be 13
Oh yeah.
next month. So,
Getting up there.
she's had a good life, man. She's been out of the country twice, man. She's been rocking and rolling, man, ever since we got her. So,
It's a big dog. It's like a
no,
German Shepherd.
she's a shepherd pit collie mixture. She has the shepherd snout and face and neck,
Mm-hmm.
a collie smarts, a pit bull body, and she's black with 4 white paws, so that's why I call her Sox, because Chicago
yeah.
White Sox, just
Gotcha.
sort of thing. But yeah, man, I'm definitely excited about the things that I've heard and been starting to do. Spiritually, again, man, I'm always, focusing on just staying grounded, with my wife and my family, and just even coming to this space, man. I try to just focus on where I'm at those times, man. Physically, got a doctor's appointment coming up. I don't have to schedule doctor's appointments, but I like to schedule them because going
Right.
through the VA, they do it every 6 months. I don't, and once you reach 55, they don't make you do appointments. So it's totally up to the veteran. So
Right.
I'm in a space where I like to just continue to schedule them because, I don't want to make sure, I want to make sure my injuries stay intact. But yeah, so physically, things are what they are. And there's no improvement at all. And intellectually, I don't know, man. I think just going through the shows we've gone through and seeing that we are sort of a different path than typical YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I know you are really appreciative of content that's about growing and getting better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just there, man, and I understand that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So hopefully somebody can find these old reels sometime in the future, man, and be able to take it, man, and connect us to the dots and run up on us one day outside and be like, man, I know you. You the guy that gave me the inspiration to do this. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's it, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, with
Well,
that,
all we can do, we're like farmers. All we can do is sow the seed. When
That's
when it grows, where it grows, or whatnot, we have no idea. But I just want to. There's a Bible verse Jesus talks about. You want to sow good seed on fertile ground. You just don't know where to throw it. It's going to go into all different types of places: rocky ground, shallow ground, thorny, whatever. But you just want to be in a position where you can know that you sow some good seeds out there, and that's what it's really about in this time. And certainly, shout out to you, shout out to your wife, being about the exercise and the health and whatnot. And so it's just so important,
you, man.
especially in these times. Your health is your wealth. The older that you get, you millionaires, billionaires, they give away every cent they had if they could just had a couple more healthy years to their life. You know what I mean? So it's all about perspective at the end of the day. But just want to say shout out to the guys in the chat. My man Eric in the building tonight. Appreciate you being here. Craig Lucas, had a chance to meet him on Sparta's last show, all the way from the UK. So again, good to hope you're doing well as also good to have you here tonight. And as far as for me, continue to grow in all areas. Now, again, the training, the legs are coming back. But I got this little something in the back there. It's almost like a sciatic kind of going. So when I'm I can squat through it, but it's giving me a little something. So I'm just waiting until next week is I get my next deep tissue massage, and so hopefully she can work some of that out and get me back to where I need to be. So what I'm certainly doing a lot more of these days is definitely more lumbar work, more stretching. Not prior to workouts though, but I do try to, the best time for me to stretch is after a workout, but definitely working on, my lower back and making sure that those things. Also, I do these vertical hangs. Like I'll just grab a bar and I'll just hang on for like 30 seconds to a minute at a time. Stretches out the spine and whatnot, really, loosens up the shoulders. So I'm really about doing those. So, physically feeling pretty good. Basically, I'm just over a month away from 56, and so feeling pretty good overall. And spiritually, always on the grind. I started teaching Sunday school again. Usually, I take August off because, especially with all the travel and everything, I was doing some sort of back to that. And so getting back into the word and, more, studious type of way and whatnot, and, working with people, intellectually, always learning. The job is, certainly it's weird because, I don't know about you, but it's like, I tend to learn by teaching. You know what I mean? Like if I want to learn something, if I just read it for me, it's one thing. But if I read it, I got to teach people, then it comes to me. You know what I mean? And I know I'm doing a lot of that at work as well, where I've had to show people, you know, developers and different IT people certain things or whatever. And it's like it's through that process. It's like I kind of pinch myself a little bit because I'm a bit of a slow learner. But once I learn it, I'm pretty good at teaching it. And I don't know if that's been in your experience too, slow to learn, but you know, you can, because of that, you can teach people a little bit better because you're not just racing through it. And you know, so that certainly paid off some dividends. And emotionally, you know, certainly in a good place. I'm just trying to hold my household together. You know, I got all these ladies here. Even what went out of the country, she still she still can be emotional at times too. And so, you know, you got to be mindful of her, you know, what she's in, what she's doing and whatnot, and that making sure she's whole and in a good place. And so, yeah, so, you know, just all those things are good. And it's just like the more I go on, it's just, you know, this may sound a bit sexist, you know, but I'm just very thankful to be a dude. You know what I mean? Like a man, like in terms of the temperature setter, the voice of reason, you know, so that things don't go haywire. And I just appreciate, you know, what I've been able to develop and grow into over the years. And now seeing like my worth in a way that is impactful, certainly to the individuals that are closest to me, certainly my daughters and my wife in particular. But then also just to be in these spaces, just to share content and just some opinions on some things that hopefully will benefit people. So I just like being, you know, kind of, you know, where I'm at in the places that I am, and you know, just looking to maximize on that. But life is good. Life is really good. But yeah. So tonight we're going to be talking about, you know, so let's just say you're thinking about going to the gym, and this is something that a lot of people need to think about. What that process is, your first steps, beginner's guide to the gym. Before we do that, though, I do want to have a sort of a breaking news. Sparta wanted me to share this a little bit before that. If you are familiar with wrestling, WWE legend and wrestling legend Jared King Lawler had a stroke, I believe, today. And so he's on the way to recovery. But, you know, but it's just a reminder that, you know, again, in something like that, I mean, it could come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's not so much, you know, your lifestyle, there's genetic markers, there's a whole lot of things there. But, you know, these are things that you need to be mindful of as you go about your day and your business or whatnot. So shout out to the King, Jerry Lawler, and that hopefully he can certainly recover and have full function in his body. I know a lot of people who have, you know, those sort of things, they lose some recovery, but you know, these are things to keep in mind. So go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, you know, just interesting about Jared King Lawler, right? I knew him when I was probably 8, 9, 10. I love wrestling, man. Every Thursday night, we used to go to a place called Louisville Gardens down in Louisville, man, and go to wrestling for maybe like $3. And Jerry the Lawler, he was one of my favorites. They had a guy named the Mongolian Stomper. That was when the Fargos were all. It hadn't really, you know, had its breakout as it did, but then that was that year they was coming up, and I went for about 3 or 4 summers. Man, we used to go every Thursday.
Well, you're from Kentucky, so that was the. If you go back to the territory days, that was the Memphis wrestling that used to come on. So Jerry, he was like, you know, every territory back then had like their star. And Jerry the King Lawler was clearly the star of Memphis wrestling, whether he was a heel or a face. He was definitely the guy.
But Brother Bennett, that was after Kentucky. Kentucky has sort of his initial platform, and then he went to Memphis. He became the king of Memphis wrestling. I remember that because they sort of left Louisville in a sense, and that's when everybody broke out. And then you got all these famous names and all these because the Junkyard Dog, Jerry Lawler, they was two, and the Fargos and the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors were the 4 big acts of Thursday night, man. And I was no more than 11. 12 years old. That's it. So yeah, man.
No, those were, you know, certainly, you know, like I said, it's weird because I don't keep up with a lot of the current wrestling, but I'm kind of an old school, so I'm always watching on, especially on YouTube. the old Memphis territory or the Georgia territory or the Mid South or so I'm
Mm-hmm.
always catching up with a lot of those old guys. So I'm sort of a sort of a throwback when it comes to that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, but shout out to Jerry, and hopefully, he can have a full recovery and that he doesn't lose any function and whatnot. But those, oh yeah, hit the Savage feud, yeah, absolutely. With the whole, well, especially with the Poffos in general, because I think his brother was down there and his father, Poffo, was there as well. So those were definitely some vintage cars. And actually, Jim Cornette, I don't know if you remember Jim Cornette, the manager
Mm-hmm.
with the tennis racket. That's where he
Yeah.
got to start because he was his mom was used to
Yeah.
take him to the matches all the time, and he would be just a photographer. So he was paid to be a photographer, and then someone came up to him and said, "Hey, you're kind of in this business. Would you want to try to be a manager?" And that's what launched Jim Cornette. So a lot of acts came out of that Memphis, that Kentucky area and whatnot. So shout out to Jerry Lawler. But yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. So before now, I'm gonna make a distinction here because I know if you go back on the Sparta HQ network and you go back about a month, I probably about 2 months ago. We've done so many shows in so much so short a time.
Seem
I'm
like
starting to lose count of the shows that we did. But a couple months ago, we did a show on Fitness 101. Okay, Fitness 101, and that dealt more with exercise and exercise function. And what was really nice about that video is that I also showed some of my personal training videos about certain moves that I do, how I do them. Now, again, I have a very specific training methodology that I employ. And so the video really talks about that show really talked about that and, sort of my beliefs on fitness and what that, that all represents. And so you can certainly go back there. I'm not going to be talking about how to train here, but this is specifically for people if you are going to go to a gym. So again, you had Craig Lucas. He said he's never been to a gym in his life. So so these are some pointers that I thought of that if you are considering going to a gym, what are some of the things that to consider when you are going to go to a gym for the first time, what to look for, and some of the factors that make your decision. Now, I know for a lot of people, going to the gym is like a woman going to a hairdresser or even a guy. But, Coach and I, as you can see from looking at us, we're long past the need for a hairdresser or a barber at this point in time. But it's just like that as well, that the barber that you go to, sometimes it's just a fit. It doesn't mean that there aren't skilled or qualified people who can do the job or that you can't get a good service, but there's just some people you mesh with. And so part of selecting a gym is a subjective process and you have to feel good about it. And so I just want to just raise some of the considerations when you go to the gym and things to keep in mind. But I'm not going to necessarily go into any training specifically here, but just some things to consider as you make those decisions. And so the first one here is going to be, I just want to talk a little bit here about what you want. In fact, it's actually this one, the next one. So the goals, just like anything that you want to endeavor in life. I think, for those who are serious about making a commitment to a gym, you got to understand what your goals are. Why are you going? And what's the motive? Is it health related? Did you have a health scare? Did your doctor say, look, you're in a condition where you need to lose a lot of weight a certain time, or if you don't start getting your health markers together, then you can be in peril? Is it out of fear that you're going to the gym? Is it an aesthetic, or is it a discipline that you're going for? So these are things that you have to have the thought in mind in terms of what you want from the gym experience. So again, when you talk about body composition, again, there's talk about just overall fitness. There's a bunch of things that sort of come into play. So again, health, which is different from fitness, and I think I might have explained this on another show, but I think it's worth considering again that health is really the absence of disease, of injury, or sickness, the absence of that. So everybody wants to be healthy. But there's a lot of people that might be healthy, but you may not necessarily be fit for everyday tasks. So there's a fitness component that you want as well. So you don't to have each one of these without the other is not really where it's at. You can be healthy but not fit. You can be very fit. Now, again, a lot of athletes, football players, baseball players, basketball players, more times than not, these guys play through injuries. And coach, I know you had a long football career. You know what it is that, if you're hurt, so more times than not, you still play unless you really, you don't dress. If you put that uniform on, you playing. And so for a lot of people who might be physically fit, but the health markers may not be where they need to be. They may have high blood pressure or whatever, or may be subject to strokes. I mean, I've seen, top athletes, can oftentimes succumb to that. So those are things to keep in mind. And then how you look. Your body composition. What look are you looking for? Is it just about losing weight? Is it about gaining weight? Now, I was the 98-pound weakling. So I wanted to gain some weight. I wanted to be muscular. I wanted to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno and those guys. I was the scrawny guy who always got picked on as a kid. So you might want to do something like that, put some muscles on. And I remember even when I graduated college, I was like I might have been 140 pounds. I think when I graduated college, and I'm 6'3". And I remember I had the hardest time finding a suit because a 40 long suit was baggy. I was like back now. It might have worked in the 90s. Back in the 90s, you had everyone wore the baggy suit in the 90s, sort of that New Jack kind of zoot suit kind of thing back in the 90s. But if you wanted like a nice fitting suit, I found one place that had a 38 long, and I wore that suit for years because it was the only one that really looked good on me until I, could afford to, like I filled out a little bit. But really is when I started to hit the gym is when I started to be able to put some size on. And it made a difference in terms of like, clothing selection. Like I can go to a store and I can pick the suits that I wanted off the rack. Like I said, the 38 suit that I bought, it might not have been the right color or pattern I wanted, but I didn't care. It's like, I need a suit that fits. It was an olive colored striped suit. Like an olive pinstripe. And I wore that for years. And that was what I wore until I started to fill out a little bit more so I can have a better selection. So you want a combination of all these things, but you really need to think about why, because especially if you're going to put the investment in. I know Peter, he said in the chat that, certainly in the UK, a lot of the gyms are expensive. And those are things you're going to consider. So if you're going to make this investment in going to a gym or investing in a membership at a gym and whatnot, these are things you need to consider. Now, if you can work out like my man Eric here, if you can, your high school maybe have a gym you can work out at, even after you graduate from there sometimes, or find a little in the hole type of gym or whatever. I mean, those are all considerations that you got to factor in. But it really starts with your why. Why do you want to do this? And are you willing to stay committed to it once you do it? Because nothing happens without consistency. And in my life, I've found that the gym, and I know you can speak to this also, Coach, the gym really taught me so much about life and about the need to be disciplined and consistent and whatnot. So basically, I just apply the physical principles of exercise and staying committed to something, to life, to all these other aspects of the life that we talk about on the show. But it really got crystallized here when I got serious about the gym and about that, look, I'm going to dedicate to this. And it's going to make a factor in some of the other slides I'm going to share here. But what are your initial thoughts on, somebody who's like, hasn't gone to the gym before, looking to go to a gym and whatnot? What do you think that should be the mindset or thought process for a person who's really seriously thinking about this? And again, we're only talking about, yes, we know you can work out at home. You can get down, do 20 push-ups, 50 push-ups, whatever. You can work out at home, but you're making a gym commitment. What are some of the things, Coach, you would say that a person should consider as they make this decision?
First of all, man, let me congratulate you, man, on understanding that, you wasn't satisfied with what you had. and you put in the work to improve it over time, man. A lot of people would have just been accepted, like, this is my build, I'm not going to do anything about it. And then it would have played itself out over the years. But salute to you, man, who's understood where you wanted to be and you just put in the work to get there. And now you're probably stronger than 85% of the people our age. So
Yeah.
that's a big up to you, man. And, you know, just as far as the gym, man, I guess always been involved in sports and just the camaraderie of that. I really didn't see a need for me to be in a gym in a sense.
Not even in the military? You didn't?
I very seldom went to the gym in the military. Now, when I was in college, I was in the gym often. I was in the gym, I don't know, 4 or 5 days a week. You know, and when I was younger. In the military, man, you did so much working out. And I didn't need to bulk up. That's what I didn't do. I needed to maintain a certain stature because even in the military, for my height, my weight was like 189. Brother Bennett, I ain't weighed 189 since my junior year in high school. But like I said, they do tape measures. They measure my neck. They're like, oh, you got an 18-inch neck. They measure my waist. Oh, your waist is well within regulation. They measure my thighs. Oh, they measure everything from my neck down to my calves. Like,
right.
Oh, okay, we see. But in helping people sort of establish that routine and wanting to find a gym, I always prompted somebody to take a tour of those gyms first, so they can see what equipment is in the gym, what equipment is conducive to their workouts. Have a personal trainer walk them through the universal equipment so they can see and understand. Because it's one thing you're looking at a picture of some equipment, then you still don't understand it.
Right.
So it's always good to have somebody sort of walk you through it. But yeah. Think about this. I used to tell people, think about the distance from work and home as far as when you find a gym. Because if you can find a gym close to work or close to home, that'll, you know what I'm saying?
We're gonna talk. Yeah, we're gonna talk about those. We're gonna. So a lot of the points you kind of sort of gave the good outline, because we're gonna talk about all these. But like I said, I really want to focus in on, like I said, the goals of it. Again, it's like anything else. If you don't know why, that's fine. If you don't know why, if you don't know your why, the how doesn't matter. You know what I mean? The what doesn't matter. And so again, that motivation to get up and go to the gym, whatever you decide, that has to be there first. So think about that. You know, you want to, again, lose weight, gain cardio, tone up, improve health markers. Those are things that you really need to consider if you're going to consider any kind of fitness journey. Goals are very important. So about here. So what type of gym? Now, again, at least in my area, they have a preponderance. Now, in some areas, like I don't know in the UK, Craig, if you have like a variety of gyms, but you have like CrossFit gyms, you have studios, you have your sort of general population gyms like Planet Fitness, all types of gyms. But again, that's going to really depend on, again, what you like, what environment that you want to be in, what type of music is in that place. Now, some people train, like I don't train in music. Like I know Pete, he's like he can't train without music. Me, I typically don't train without any music. It's not, if it's playing in the background, it doesn't really factor in that much. But you know, certainly the type of gym that you choose matters. You know, you want something more intimate. You like a gym with a lot of people. Do you like a gym that doesn't have too many people? Now, back in the day, they used to have unisex gyms. where gyms only where the women went, because some women, they didn't want to feel looked at or whatever, and and then you got the bro gyms where you got like the bodybuilders in. It could be a little sweaty, a little grungy or whatever. But the gym type that you factor in, again, a lot of that is going to align with your goals. If you want to build muscle, if that's a goal of yours, yeah, you might want to go to like a strength gym that does real, deadlifts, squats, presses, and whatnot. But if you just want to get a little cardiovascular in, you just want to lose some weight, you think good treadmills and different fitness equipment like that, then maybe a more mainstream type of gym that has a lot of cardio equipment might be your speeds. So really, find the type of place that you train at matters. Because that's going to focus into your again, not only your motivation but also the desire to go back to it. Because every January 2nd, everybody goes to the gym, and by the middle of the month, they'll stop going to that gym anymore. Everybody makes that resolution that, yeah, I want to work out, but what gym are you going to stay with is important. And I know some people, it's like they would never step foot in a Planet Fitness ever. And some people, they would never set foot in, like I said, a CrossFit gym or gym where they all the brick walls and it looks kind of hardcore and whatnot, and that doesn't necessarily appeal to people. So to Coach's earlier point, yeah, go check some of these places out, see what the culture is like, see what the music is like. If they're playing a lot of hardcore rap or rock music, or that's just very offensive and whatnot, and that just doesn't vibe with you, then don't go there. Or if it's too much of a party atmosphere, or you may not, like I said, prefer music at all. Those are things to consider when choosing a gym. And I would always say, and some gym owners, they set up gyms because they want a certain clientele, so they'll play the hardcore stuff because they don't want the people who can't handle it. They're looking for a certain demographic. Some gyms, they want a more diverse, wide open demographic. So what type of place that you want to choose, these are things that you need to consider before going to the gym. Coach, any thoughts on this here?
I mean, yeah, you touched on it, man. I think, what I've seen some gyms, get away from the traditional gym where you got the weights and all of the knotless equipment. I'm seeing more of a cross trainer style incorporated in the weights, more of a what we used to call isometrics, using your body strength against itself and things like that, more band strengths. Now people have incorporated tires. So I've seen, I guess it's just like a warehouse type where people converted large garages into gyms, and it's more of a cross training style.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I remember one time I went to buy some, I bought some equipment off of, it was like Craigslist or one of those, sites. So went out to like Eastern PA, and it's a lot of farmland out there. And I just noticed that a lot of you had a lot of these old barns because of the farm closed down, and they were all converted into CrossFit gyms.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that type of environment, again, is going to appeal to a certain type of person. And so those are things that you need to consider, also, when you're thinking about, a type of gym that you want to go to. So what type of gym are you looking for? But again, that goes back to your goals. What do you want to do? Right. And so that matters. The other thing that you got to worry about is location, where it is. Right. Now we talk about, people say, oh, well, there's a gym around the corner that I'll go to. But in my recent experience, especially with my daughters, they are willing, if it's a place that you vibe with, for a lot of people, they don't mind taking that sometimes an hour drive to get to a spot. Like I said, it's just like a hairdresser. If you go to that hairdresser and that person just knows, you good out of that chair looking like $1 million, you will travel to get to that person, even if it's an hour away. One of my daughters, the ones in medical school, she used to go, she used to drive from my place up an hour to go to Orange to go to the spot. And it was kind of like a sort of a cross training type of place or whatever, but it was very motivating. I mean, the trainers, she liked the trainers that were there. And it was just something that she looked forward to. And just the drive, just getting there, amped her up. She's like, well, look, I'm here now. But a lot of times you take for granted the things that are right in front of you. I've seen people, you got a gym literally in walking distance from your house, but you won't go. So it's not always the case that, okay, with the gym around the corner, I got a Planet Fitness less than like about 5 minutes from my house. And I know people that would go for, again, either a better environment or just the type of gym that they want. They'll drive 30 minutes, 45 up to an hour to get to a spot. So location can be a factor. But again, if it's a place, my thing is it going to be the type of place that's going to motivate you to train? And sometimes when something's too close, you tend to take it for granted. And you just think, oh, I'll get there. It's right around the corner. I'll get there. And a lot of people don't go. But sometimes when you got to make that commitment and I got to drive to get to this place, there's something about when the person gets there that they're a little bit more amped up. I drove out here, so I'm going to get my money's worth. So some people vibe that way as well. Some people appreciate the convenience, or maybe it's a place that it may not be your house, but it may be near your job. So again, you might work an hour away from home, but the gym is close to work, so you go there after work, and then it's on the way home. So that's a consideration also. As far as the location, is convenience important to you, or sometimes getting away from your environment? Is that something that would motivate you more, knowing that I got to make this pilgrimage to get here? I know bodybuilders, especially, they'll drive. There's a few sort of mecca gyms within an hour and a half from me. There's one in New York, Powerhouse Gym in Queens. That guys from New Jersey, they'll drive all the way to Queens to get to this gym because it's where the bodybuilders hang out at. And then they got a new spot that me and Peter went to last year, this gym up in Bethlehem, PA, that, again, if you want to get that serious, now you may not go every day, but for the guys who really want to be in that kind of hardcore environment and see people who look like them, then they go to that gym. So location, those are things to consider as well if you want to get into an environment. But if the place is close to your house, you can get there, then go. But if you got to go out a little bit more also, if you get the results, then go there also. Well, don't be so, make the investment of time into it. And I like to go through a little mental process. When I train clients, I tell them that you should be thinking about and meditating on the workout before you get to me. So we're going to go through the steps and everything, but I want you to sort of play the workout in your mind and get your mind right on the drive over. So that when you come to the door, it's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. I don't need to be hyping you up and whatnot to get you to train, especially if you've been training with me for a while. You should already know, coming to the door. Yep, I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. And so we don't have to spend a lot of time in terms of getting you to do certain things. So meditate on your workout certainly before you come. But location certainly is a factor in terms of whether you want to be, what gym you go to. The other one is what type of environment. We talk about this. Do you want to be alone or do you want to be in groups? Now, one of the things that CrossFit did that was different at the time when it came out is that it created a culture that kept people in it. So the idea of being around like-minded people trying to do the same things that you're trying to do, that's motivating to people. A lot of people aren't comfortable training by themselves. They need the motivation of the group think, the stay with the pack, the birds of the feathers flock together, all those tropes that we talk about. Some people need that in order to stay consistent with it. So again, where you train, why you're training, where you train, the type of gym environment. Is it group? Do they offer classes or not? Spin class, all right. Yoga, Pilates. Yoga, cardio classes. If that's what turns you on, then do it. Like I said, I have a certain philosophy when it comes to exercise and training and whatnot, but don't let that stop you from doing other things. I just have an idea of what I think is good, but I never put down anybody's workout. Well, that's not true. Some I do put down. If they're putting people in dangerous situations, yeah, I will put those down. But some people, again, people enjoy the environment. You develop friendships there. Back in there, people go to the gym just to meet people. You know what I mean? Like-minded people. You find, oh, you work in this industry too, business, all kinds of things. But some people, sort of the nomadic type, they just say, leave me alone. I just want to work out. And they're there because they got their headphones on, they got the hoodie on, and it's like, I do not want to be bothered. And so again, the more gen pop type of gym may not be your environment. You might want to be more like the hardcore gym that's in back of me, with the squat racks and whatnot. So you could just look, I just want to be in my element. I just want to be left alone. And so that's something that you have to consider as well. But Coach, have you ever participated, I guess outside the military? I know military guys, you guys do the calisthenics together and the counting and all that kind of stuff. But did you like being with the group? Did that give you a little extra motivation being with the guys? Or were you more like when you train, you like to be by yourself?
I guess there's levels to it, right? Growing up, playing sports, you doing weightlifting, it was that sense of camaraderie there. So I initially liked the group, especially when you playing sports. You get to compete. When you're young, you want to compete. So we set goals, maybe 250, 260, and to be one of the first to reach those goals amongst your peers is always, a good feeling. You get bragging rights for the day or week or so. And then in the military, again, just always being one of the top finishers in the exercises, because you do calisthenics 7 days a week. There's no day in basic training you don't do exercise, right? Mm-hmm. There's no set limit that you would do within that hour and a half workout, whether it's push-ups, sit-ups, running. You'll do more running, maybe some roll 5 to 7 miles every morning, 7 days a week for 12 weeks. And then there's always going to be other times. But one thing I liked about the military, they incorporated aerobics classes, swimming. You did activities other than, just the everyday push-ups, sit-ups, run. We did pull-ups on the pull-up bar before you can go to lunch. Go to dinner, sometime breakfast, depend. But as I got older, I was into the cycling classes. And in the cycling classes, just other people are around, but it's you and the instructor. You're trying to keep up with them, and that's a lot. Then you're looking over, seeing a woman, who ain't missed a beat, and you like, oh, so I like that, I guess, that competition per se, but not being in competition with others. Now I got it all in my house. I don't need that. I got to be around people. Now I can. And when I used to go to the gym consistently, I had headphones on, so I can be around it, but I tune it out because I want to focus on what I'm doing to make sure I'm doing my technique, getting my reps in, not spending too much time hanging out the water fountain, stargazing, looking around. I just focus on what I have to do. Yeah. And it always paid off for me. So I'll say this, and I had a routine of, I would go cycling classes, and then after cycling classes, I was getting up to maybe 24 miles when I was at the height, 24. But then it was like an hour class, and you rolling, so you ain't really got time to slow down. But then after that, I would do a mile run, because I had a goal of trying to get my mile to 6 minutes, 6:30, something like that. So I sort of reached that. And then I would go dib a dab with the weights, do a little bench press, one, nothing
Right.
really fancy. That was about the extent of my 2.5 hour workout.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting. I think everybody, like you said, is a little different on how they
Yeah.
work out. I think people
Yeah.
prefer today to more so be in their own little zone. Headphones on, no
Yeah.
so, so
Yeah.
that's what I've noticed lately.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
not?
I think that's in that culture as well. I think people are definitely more to themselves. Like, again, the
Yeah.
idea of having to meet people, meeting guys, meeting girls, that was just something we would just be a lot more open to. Now, I think for me, I think I've gone through periods as well. Obviously, I train at my home mostly, so I'm definitely a loner in that sense. But I remember those early days, like when I really got into the gym. That gym culture did help me a lot because you would go to the gym at the same time and those same bros would be there. You go there, the same guys on the bench, waiting on the bench press or whatever. So, hey, can I join you guys or whatever? And then you started an interaction. And these were just your gym bros that you look forward to meeting every day or whenever you decide to go there. And in between sets, you're talking about girls. Oh, you see that girl over there and see what she wearing and this and that. And, it was just like I said, it became a positive environment to be a part of. And so I think, sometimes it depends on what the season of your life you're in. Are you a young person? Are you married in middle age? At that point, you might not be looking to form a lot of bonds with a lot of people or whatever. But sometimes just the idea that somebody's going to be at the gym. It's like, man, I don't really feel like going, but I know so-and-so is going to be there. So, at least I have somebody to talk to while I'm there or whatever. Or like say you're on that treadmill and that you get the same treadmill and that person who's on to the left or to the right to you. And I've seen friendships just form and they're just chatting away on the treadmill doing their thing. And it just becomes like I said, it just becomes a little click, a little thing that but the important thing is, again, keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And so all those things, whether, the gym type, the alone, the drive and whatnot, as long as you keep going back to it, I think is the important thing. So again, these are things that you have to factor in as you're considering that. The next thing, you got to look at the cost. Now, again, you can get a Planet Fitness for a monthly membership of $15. Now, again, I don't know what's in the UK, Craig, or, but around here, lots of Planet Fitness gyms and whatnot, really pretty low cost. $15, I think, is the introductory, and then they got another plan that's like $24. I forget what comes into that, but again, very inexpensive to work out. But then you have other modes, other means. Now, if you want to take some spin classes, some Super Soul classes, here you got a 25 classes for $1,800. And then my wife and daughter, they looked at some Pilates classes at a local spot in the area. They wanted like $150 a month for Pilates. Now, you may say that's expensive, but at the same time, that could be the motivator that keeps you going. I remember when the first gym that I legitimately joined, it's in the same town that I'm in now. And in fact, the gym is under a different ownership now, but it's the same place. In fact, my wife goes there for spin classes now, but it's the same building. I was paying $75 a month back in 1999, which was a good chunk of money back then. And when the lady, when she dropped the price on me, I said, wow, that's expensive. But she made a point, and she said, look, if it's cheap like that, you're going to come for a couple of weeks and whatnot, and then you're going to drop off.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're paying that money coming out of your and I had the automatic payment also. I had that option on there. So I'm like, if this money's coming out every month, I'm going to get my money's worth. So I started going 4, 5, 6 days a week. And that was the first time I got locked in. That's when it stuck. Because I tried a year or two earlier. I bought a gym set for my house, and I barely used it. But knowing that I had to pay a heavy rate to get to that gym, that was motivation for me to say, look, I'm going to do this. But then it clicked. And when I stopped playing basketball, part-time basketball, that's when it really clicked. Because then I needed, you need an outlet to work off, the energy and everything. So I just threw myself into the gym, and that's what really started my fit journey from that point on. And I just stayed consistent with it. I did it one time about a year or so after I graduated college. I was 147 pounds when I graduated college. I got up to about 174. And then I had my auto accident, and it took me a while to kind of build back up and whatnot and get back into the gym life after that. I had a long recovery after that. So cost, you may say the cost is expensive, but again, if you go, now it's interesting because I've also talked to some trainers. In fact, I think that's the other. I think that's the next the slide that I have is personal trainers. Should you get one? Now, the guy I know, he's a personal trainer as well, and we talked about how much you charge, what's a good raise of $50 a session or whatever. He told me that certain clientele, if you're not charging $250 and up per session, that those clients won't come. These were high-end guys. These were Wall Street guys. These guys were, when you talk about people where time is money, with those guys, time is money. And for them to justify taking an hour and a half away from their jobs, from their corporate careers, from their Wall Street careers, to go and train with somebody, in their minds, it had to be expensive. Because that was the only way that's going to break them out, because all they thinking about is making money and deals and trades and all this kind of stuff. What's going to break me out? Oh, I'm paying this money to go to the gym, so yeah, I need to get my money's worth. So cost, even, people can always look for the cheaper option, but sometimes that doesn't necessarily yield a result. Just because it's cheaper doesn't necessarily make it better. If it gives you the right environment, the right motivation, the right equipment, the right ambiance, the right mix of people, if all those things are in place and this is going to have a positive impact on your health, then how much are you willing to pay? And again, even if you did pay the cheapest option, Planet Fitness, like I said, I know a lot of people have Planet Fitness memberships. Cheapest option out there for a public gym. And they still won't go. So the cost thing, that's variable, but if it's something you enjoy, I know people swear I know women love those Super Soul classes, love them. The music, the beats, they going all the way back, coach, with the 90s house music and club and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, I'm going here. But it's not cheap. But it gets you going. So, coach, what are your thoughts when it comes to cost? It's not always I think a factor, and in some cases, the more cost, at least in my experience, it could be paying more may get you in there, at least until it becomes a habit or a lifestyle. But what are your thoughts when it comes to this?
Man, I always thought a good price for a gym was about $38 to $40 a month. That's me when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they have them anywhere else, but Salvation Army has what they call the Kroc Center, KROC, and it's filled with enough to entertain a family. The one I used to go to had a rock climbing wall. It had specific events for young people, like they would cut off parts of a court. For young people, they had the cycling class, they had the weights, they had the treadmills, they had everything you can do, man, everything. And that cost was about $52 for a family, which I thought was a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, and it's anybody, if you're by yourself, again, that's why you need to sort of shop around your money to a gym. Some gyms, they're going to be a lot more advanced. People who getting their workout on, you may not feel comfortable with that, and they may be some of your high-end gyms. Yes, the cost will be a little bit more, but you can get the same results at Planet Fitness for $15, and they've gone up over the recent years. Used to be $10,
Yeah.
but for $15 a month, again, if you can find your good buddy who's consistent, someone who's already sort of gotten over the workout blues, who's already conditioned their body and their mind to sort of get up and go out and get to the gym, you can connect with somebody like that. And they might already be at the gym. And it's, sometimes it can be better to find a good workout buddy and keep it strictly about the workout. I wouldn't necessarily get personal too much unless you are establishing a friendship outside of the gym. But yeah, man, cost efficient today, man. You and your wife or your partner, however you describe it, $30, man, y'all can both get a good workout. I don't think Planet Fitness has tracks anywhere you can actually do some running, but you can pretty much get all your weights in, get you some cardio in. So yeah, I would definitely take advantage of the cost if you know you don't have a big budget. So yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Next here. So again, talked about personal trainer. I would say at least to understand, especially if you're going for the first time, I would definitely go where if they offer one as part of the membership initially, I would definitely take advantage of it to at least learn some basics about training. But what you don't want to do, I wouldn't recommend, don't sign up any major personal training deals right away. Because that's how to get you. And also, mind you, what are they training you with? Now, some of the moves here, some of the things, the reason why a lot of trainers are in business is because they have their clients doing things that only they can help them with. So what you need generally for training, you don't necessarily need a personal trainer for. Once they show you the basics on what to do, then the rest should really be up to you at that point. But if they want to sign you up, okay, 10 sessions for $1,500 or whatever, and you just join the gym, I would be very cautious of those. Because again, a lot of the goals of the trainers is not necessarily to get you fit. It's to get you coming back. I remember I took a job with the YMCA in my area. And everything was good. I was ready to start up or whatnot. And the lady told me off the rip, she said, basically, look, the most important thing here is to make sure that the people are having fun. And that turned me off. Because my thing is, I'm here to help people get fit. And I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to make it, I'm going to make sure that you're going to push through some obstacles, some barriers. I know I'm not necessarily the trainer for everybody. But when she told me that, I got totally turned off and I turned down the job. Because again, it wasn't about the person's health. It was about, again, keeping them coming back. And say, hey, great job. You did this when I know you could do more. Well, I know you're not pushing yourself hard enough. So again, the type of person that you choose is certainly something that you need to consider. But yeah, I would say initially, if that person is going to show you some basics, how to do basic movements, how to do the chest press, how to do this leg machine, how to do certain things or whatever, just to get you going and comfortable with the equipment, that's fine. But I wouldn't necessarily be signing up for large training packages outside of the initial membership. I just wouldn't do it. Because for them, it's about making money. But my thing is, even as a trainer, look, I've had clients, I've lost clients or whatnot. You work out with me, we're looking for a result. And some people liked it and some people don't. But I wasn't going to compromise what I believe is good for persons just to make them feel good. So again, so that's my general philosophy when it comes to training and whatnot. But what's your view on personal trainers? If you're going to advise someone, like I said, I think it's a good idea on the outset just to get some basics. But anything outside of that, what are your thoughts on that, Coach? Coach, you there? You muted? You muted?
Yeah, I was muted. I'm talking. I think I heard you say something, interesting in reference to not getting a personal trainer initially in your workout when you first starting.
No, I'm saying initially you should.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
but don't sign up for any kind of long
Yeah.
term
Yeah. That's what
package deals, because a
Yeah.
lot of those packages, what they
Yeah.
involve is the trainer having you do a lot of stuff, a lot of
Yeah.
balance ball stuffers, things where
Yeah.
they need your assistance, rather
Yeah.
than you teaching you the fundamentals of training so you can train yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. You're right. Oh yeah, I would agree, man. That's why I say visit any gym prior to you signing up for that membership and inquiring if they have available personal trainers. I don't know if place like Planet Fitness. I think the workers are personal trainers itself, or you can bring your own personal trainer in.
Usually,
But
well, my daughter, she worked at one just before she went to med school, so they do have trainers there, but
okay,
even by her own admission, they're not very good. They're not very good.
yeah.
But again,
So
like I said, you kind of get what you pay for sometimes. Also, what kind of training do you expect to get for that kind of money? So I do believe in charging a fair price for a competent trainer. So certainly I wouldn't scrimp on that if that's something that you need out the gate. But again, a lot of the motivation of the trainers, or a lot of the motivations of the business, is not to train you.
correct,
Is to keep you coming back. And you're doing a lot of movements that really, at the end of the day, don't add a lot to your fitness overall. So I would say those are things that you need to be mindful of. All right. Winding down here, just some initial steps in terms of what to wear to the gym. So again, definitely sportswear, runners, hoodies, leggings. You want to. My thing is, certainly, and I don't get too hard on people when they do this, but sometimes like what you wear to the gym actually affects your workout. It's just, I believe now you can work out in jeans. I've seen guys come in jeans and then steel toe boots and things of that nature, whatnot. But again, you want to, sort of look the part. And then there's certain things that people wear to the gym that is totally inappropriate. And we've seen that too. We've seen women with the G strings coming out of the back of their pants, and guys not wearing appropriate ties, seeing stuff you shouldn't be seeing, hygiene issues and whatnot. So yeah, so these are things that should be common sense. But what we always say is that common sense isn't always common. So you need to be mindful of that. But again, look clean when you get to the gym. You don't have to spend a ton of money on clothes. Again, some of these apparel brands and whatnot charging for leggings like $150 for some training leggings. I don't think you have to go that far out. And you definitely don't need a $200 pair of sneakers either to get a good workout in also. But again, have proper attire, have gym sneakers on, or training shoes of some kind. Don't go in Crocs or sandals. Smart attire when you go to a gym, into a public place, because again, you also represent, anywhere you're out in public, you should want to have a high representation of yourself. So again, what you wear, I think also matters. But I kind of get stoked. I kind of pick out if I was, even when I'm working out at home, I don't just throw on anything. I put on a tie that I look in the mirror before I go downstairs. It's like, oh yeah, we're about to kill this. And so the gym attire, yeah, I take a little bit with it and make sure that I'm looking good or whatnot. And I look for any edge I can. So again, make sure you have the proper attire when you go to the gym. But Coach, in your experience, what's the craziest thing you saw someone wear at the gym?
Oh man, shit. I can't even remember, man. Maybe some shorts too tight or something. I tell you what I don't like though, and you should shout out to the guys who make the commitment to go to the gym and just bulk themselves up. But those little bitty stringy tank tops that they wear to show everything busting out.
You got to see the V taper, man. You got to see the lats. You got to see the.
No, it's always been something I was like, I could do it. I'd rather wear a sleeved shirt. I used to be like, I don't want you to see my muscles unless you, and that was my mindset when I was young, unless you up close to me, you rub on me, ladies, you can feel my muscles, but to sort of just have them out, man. But I'm as far as the attire, yeah, I would definitely agree with, no slip-on shoes. Make sure you have a heeled shoe so you can maintain your balance. You don't want to slip out of a shoe when you're trying to do a squat and end up blowing an ankle, blowing a knee, blowing a hip, blowing your back out. Something bad could happen. I always prefer you, unless you constant guru and you going every day, but some old clothes, preferably some gym shorts, old t-shirts, things like that, because you may sweat, and then just the wear and tear on the material. So yeah, stuff like that. You don't want to really wear nothing that you really cherish to the gym. Again, so yeah, and again, I always also recommend this. If you're a sweater, bring an extra t-shirt, something that you can take off, this shirt that's all sweaty, and put on preferably cotton, or a cotton t-shirt, just as your cool down. And because now I don't think a lot of people are taking showers. So if you're going to be going back out into the weather, especially this time of year, just bring an extra t-shirt, maybe a towel you can dry yourself off with the sweat. Bring an extra t-shirt, maybe a hoodie or something, so you can maintain your body heat until you get home. You don't want all your moisture to evaporate. Your body may get too cold too fast. So yeah, just bring some extra clothes, or change of clothes, and some heeled shoes. Definitely.
Just a couple more things before I have the last night slide for the night. Just a couple etiquette things with me. Kind of peeves that, again, should be common sense, but again, common sense is always common. If you work on a piece of equipment, especially one that you sweater all over, make sure you wipe it down. Most of these gyms now, they have stations where they got the disinfectant and the paper towels or whatnot. Just wipe down your area after you're done. Just make sure it's for the other guy or woman who wants to use the equipment. If you're on a machine, especially like a plate loaded, like on the bench press or whatever, take your plates off and put them back on the rack when you're done. Again, just common courtesy for the next person who comes. And then lastly, if you are working with a group of people, don't think you necessarily own a piece of the equipment there. Like I said, I like the camaraderie and everything, but guys be on the bench just hanging around talking and chit-chatting for like an hour or whatever when other people could be waiting to use the same one. Most gyms maybe have 2 or 3 bench areas, and you guys are just hogging the whole area up that nobody can get on there. Again, be respectful. If you're there to work out, then work out. There's plenty of talk and chit-chat you can do between sets, rest sets, and all that kind of stuff, but don't hog up the equipment and allow other people to get on. But you just on there to be on there, and did like someone comes up and say, hey, can I work? I know I got one more, but you've been talking the whole time, and it's like you're in no hurry to do another set. So those are, I guess, 3 peeves that I have. Hygiene, as always, respect for the gym, put the equipment back, and then also, again, if you're done with the machine or whatever, do what you got to do so someone else who might be waiting can get on that same machine. Because again, unless you go to a really big gym that has a lot of stations and equipment and whatnot, people need to share spaces. And don't think just because you've been there for 20 years that you own this space and nobody can work on it because that you're there. That turns a lot of people off, and it's not good for business. So yeah, if I'm an owner, I may have to call some guys out and say, look, guys, Yeah, you guys a long time here, but you need to respect everybody who comes to the gym because they're paying money too. Last thing I just want to talk about is just in terms of your readiness. When you're going in, just make sure you don't overdo it. Okay, when you're in the gym, just pay attention to your aerobic zones as you're working out. So again, here's a listing of the cardio zones. So if you want to know what heart rate you need to be working out at, a lot of that's going to be depending on what you're doing, but you can calculate, what your max heart rate is. Take the number 220, subtract your age. That is your maximum heart rate. And then depending on the activity that you want to do, you want to make sure that you stay within these ranges. If you're going to be doing like a cardio, so like a level 2 or level 3 on this chart here, the upper limit is going to be 80% for aerobics. So you're going to be on a bike or a spin or a treadmill. Your max is going to be 80% of your max heart rate. The low end is going to be 65. If you want to work cardio in terms of consistently, you want to stay within those ranges for about 30 minutes. If you go too hard or whatever, slow yourself down. If you get below 65%, you want to pick it up. But you want to be able to maintain that cardio zone for a minimum of 30 minutes. So that'd be the spin mic, the rowing machine, or whatever. You want to stay within those limits. But if you're going to be doing some anaerobic activity like lifting weights, going for like max sets, training to failure, things of that nature, yes, that'll definitely take you up into your anaerobic zones. But you want to be careful there not to stay there too long. Give yourself plenty of rest before you go on to the next thing. You don't want to, the whole idea of the anaerobic zone is meant for powerful, explosive movements like sprints and weightlifting, but you can't do it for long term. And so again, be mindful of that. Make sure you're well rested before you do your next set. So just keep this in mind as you're going in, because most people, the common mistake that people do when they go to the gym, especially for the first time, is that they overdo it. And so recognize who you are before you go to the gym. Just because you see the guy on to the left or the right racing on the treadmill doesn't mean you have to. Again, based on your age and based on your current fitness level, work within yourself. But don't think you have to model someone else because you see the gym bro over there doing the same thing. So that's the last slide I had. Coach, any thoughts on this as we start to land this plane?
No, man, I like this chart, man. I'm gonna have to definitely get this chart, man, and
sure.
apply it to my life, man. I mean, to my own life, man. I think it's listen, and I think people underestimate certain benefactors of the body, and knowing thresholds of certain limits of based off weight, based off your endurance levels, based off I guess your muscle capacity and strength, like that. So again, man, to anybody, man, if you are serious about ever getting into some form of workout, make sure you consult with your primary caregiver first. Get your test ran to ensure that you have the strength and the stamina to at least start getting into some form of routine to work out. So yeah, consult with your doctors. Ask them to send you through a stress test so you can see where your capacity is. And of course, just go from there. You know where to start. You know what your capacity of being. You won't overexert yourself and pull a muscle, tear a muscle. Herniate your discs.
Yeah.
Anything. So definitely talk to somebody who's well more experienced than we are before you get out and start. But these charts, I think they definitely need it, where you can look at your, I guess, your exercise levels. You don't want to start out trying to do 20 bench presses with 220 pounds and you weigh 140. No.
Yeah.
If you can get 2 reps up, you started somewhere. In anything where you're working legs, arms, you don't want to. I made the mistake one time when I was in the military. Yeah, I didn't say this. And this is now that I see this. Some white guys, little Mexican guy, they had started working out. They got a nice, they was first time ever really working out. So they asked me to come work out with them, right? They was like, yeah, Ferg, man, you big and strong. And I'm like, yeah, I'm big and strong. Man, they had, I don't know what they had, about 350 or something. Like,
What?
Man, listen, man, I did one. They're like, come on, man, I just felt something over it wasn't my rotator cuff,
Right.
but I felt some joints and ligaments sort of twinge over. I said, man, if y'all don't get this weight off me, man. And that was the last time I ever tried it. But, and then I just sort of always let me stay focused on what I know I can do and not, just be trying to keep up with everybody else's weight capacity. Do what you can do at any level. Any movement is positive movement. Any movement. And every week you may grow, and don't get discouraged if you stay at a stalemate for some time. That's just part of the growth of, getting in workouts. You'll see changes over a period of time. So
Absolutely. Well, hopefully this has been useful. Again, so anybody who's thinking about it, so Craig, if you ever do decide to go to a gym, hopefully gave you some things to consider in terms of how to choose a proper spot to go into. But as Coach said, yeah, definitely check with your healthcare professional. Make sure that you're well enough to go to a gym. And, when you get, find a place that's going to work for you, and find a place that you can stay committed to, and just get in and just do the work a little bit at a time, stay within your means. But then once you start getting comfortable with the environment and whatnot, now you can branch out and start doing more intense things. But, certainly, hopefully this was useful tonight. Certainly always loving talking about the subjects of fitness and, any suggestions that you guys have or any questions that you may have on future shows. One thing I would certainly like to see in the show, if people have questions, they can certainly raise in chats that could be answered, if not in the current show, but it may be in future shows that we can go back and we can, have like a sort of a Q&A with the coach and I. And, certainly I certainly like those kind of environments as well. But we appreciate you guys for being here tonight. Again, for Next Gen Training on the Sparta HQ Network, make sure you hit the like button before you leave tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you, David, certainly for working in the back as you always do. We appreciate you. But for myself, Mr. Bennett, he is the coach, Coach Ferg, and this is Next Gen Training on the Sparta HQ Network. You guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Good night. Oh, he says, "Can I hold up for 5 minutes?" So we got to keep the show going for another 5 minutes.
That was me, Brother Bennett.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay.
Just once we close out, that was in the back.
Okay, sounds good. All right, you guys have a good night. We'll see you next week. Take care.